Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, whichever it happens to be. I want to say thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out, help out the algorithm. But I wanted to tell you before we get into the show, my name is Jaylen Kale. Linktree.com/JAK Productions. That'll take you to my music on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, and it'll also take you to my social medias and the Feeling Generous tab. All the proceeds will go to the production value of the podcast and my music, but feel free to check it out. I'm sure I'll have a little thing going right there. It's in the description as well. But appreciate you.
Name's Theo Gale. I make films. You can watch those films at Glasshouse Productions 8 on YouTube, and then you can contact me at Glasshouse Productions 8 on Instagram if you would like to help in any form or way. Behind the scenes acting, anything like that. And all my other links will be in the description in my link tree. That's about it.
Welcome back to the Two Tone Podcast, episode number 51. We're on. As you heard in the beginning, my name is Jaylen Kale. Alongside me, for only the second time alongside me, usually he's across the room, but
Theo Gale.
all right. So if y'all are watching, we're sitting next to each other, so that means either one of the cameras broke or we got a guest. But thankfully this week, very, very special guest, my mom.
Hello.
How you been? What you been up to, Mom?
What have I been up to?
Yeah,
Oh, just working.
just working.
Just working.
Anything else, really?
Making sure Theo doesn't smile. That's for sure. Don't do it. Don't even think it.
God is that.
Don't do it.
All right,
The
so
nasal flare there. What have I been doing? Yeah, a lot of working. Got a craft project going with your Aunt Connie.
oh yeah, you've been making a quilt. How's that been going?
Working on a quilt. Yep. We're slowly but surely getting there.
Y'all past the ironing out stage?
Depends on what day it is.
Fair enough.
We have managed to actually cut some pieces.
Oh hell.
It's a long process.
Yeah,
a lot longer than people think it is.
Right, with all of the baby clothes that you have to iron out, and are you just like gonna sew the clothes together how they are? Or are you cutting them into squares?
No, I took everything is taken apart,
Uh-huh.
even the trim off of like the pieces around your neck, the
Uh-huh.
neckline, and the legs, and everything. So everything is taken apart to its original material, ironed out.
Do you have a specific pattern you're gonna do on it, or?
It's kind of like an old school basket weave.
Okay.
Close, but not exactly.
It should be interesting.
So
It's definitely one of those things that it's gonna take fucking forever to do, I feel like. But
yes, again.
once it's done, you'll be like, wow, look at this.
Exactly.
And they'll have it forever. But speaking of sewing and doing crafts, you like to crochet and
I do.
All sorts of yarn activities. But recently you've been, I don't remember if this has already happened or not, but you said you had a booth at a like a craft fair.
Yeah, I did that for the first time. It was last September.
How'd that go?
It was okay. It was a learning experience. Definitely the fair that I was at was too big in my opinion. There was just too many booths, too many options, and
Right.
so it was just a lot of window shopping and not a lot of
Yeah.
actual buying.
Unless they found something that like really jumped out at them. Yeah.
Right.
But with crocheting and stuff, what's like your favorite thing to make? You like doing scarves and blankets, or you like making more plushies and stuff like that?
I last year I got really into the plush animals.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the I found a couple books on just making monsters. And so,
Uh-huh.
you can mess it up and it really nobody knows you messed it up because it's a monster.
Right.
You don't know what it's supposed to look like. So I enjoy those a lot. But I do enjoy making a blanket too. Not
Just
real
putting a
big
few
on
months.
scarves and whatnot, but
That's what I started learning, like making scarves. Just going back and forth.
Yep.
I tried to make a blanket once, but it didn't quite turn out well. It, like started out and then like tapered real skinny and then like flared out at the end, and I was like, well,
that's typical for everybody who learns
just
to
in
crochet.
case my middle is cold, I guess. But with crocheting and stuff,
What?
you all right?
Mhm.
It happens. You got to give him 10, 15 minutes to get into the episode, and then about 20 minutes in, he'll say something, and then boom, we're in. You just gotta let him stare off into the distance for about 10 minutes. Yeah, it's all right. I'm just working. And about 15 minutes in, you ever just think about how? And it's just some random ass question.
That's Theo
Anyways,
for you.
that's old TT for you. Anyways, back to crocheting and stuff. So I learned how to crochet like I don't even remember, maybe 5th grade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a cast on my leg and couldn't really do anything. So me and my grandma and my mom sat down, taught me how to crochet, how to do the what's that thing called, the hook ladder hook or something. I don't even remember. It's like a little tool you use on it, like a gridded
Latch hook.
Latch hook. That's what it's called. Yeah, I learned how to do that, like making rugs type shit. But I just wanted to bring it up. There's always been like some sort of like art or craft or some sort of something going on in the house. Like I want to know where you got that inspiration from, or do you think it's just like you're just like an artsy kind of person?
I've always been an artsy kind of person, but like, as we're all aware, we come from a big family,
Right.
and I'm towards the end of the line of kids, and all of my older siblings, when they were younger, Grandma would make all of their clothes.
Right.
Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so we always had a sewing machine in the house. And Grandma would, make things here or there when I was younger. She didn't sew quite as much, but Aunt Carol used to sew all the time. She made a couple dresses for me when I was in high school. I know she made my senior prom dress.
Oh, that's cool.
And I always just enjoyed it. So it was something that, I would watch and not necessarily technically learn how to do something,
Right, like in
but
the
I would
conventional
catch on
sense.
how to do something,
Right,
and then I would
yeah.
just kind of go from there. But I think that's a lot of where the artsy side comes in, is where, I might not have been properly taught how to do it, but I figured it out.
Right, you got a general sense of what you're doing.
Yep.
I feel like that's a lot of that really correlates with me and a lot of the art that I do. Like in music, like I don't really know one instrument super well, but I can do all of it just a little bit.
Yep.
Or like in painting, like I can do abstract. I can kind of try and do like some sort of realism, but in the end, I feel like a jack of all trades and master of none is almost.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a perfect way to be.
Right. That's what I was about to say. I feel like, that's kind of what you should aim for, having have a sense
Wide
of
variety of abilities.
Right. Have some sense of a little bit of everything, really.
Hi, Theo.
Hi.
So, what you been thinking about for the past 10 minutes, T?
Life. But off the question Jaylen asked.
Yeah.
There's always been the dynamic in this household of what people do. And it's kind of weird. Like, you are more crocheting, Arthur was more drawing, Jaylen was music, and then I would be in my room making things out of random stuff.
True.
And so, what
You're like
was,
a 3D artist.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
what was your, like, watching us all grow up like that, doing different things? Did you have, like, any idea of what type of careers we would want?
No, not really. Um, I just honestly, I've always said I want nothing more than for my kids to be happy. You're right.
Sorry, I zoomed your camera in so it wasn't such a wide shot, and then it was just like from here up on the camera, so it was just like,
Hello.
yeah, it's just like a talking head moment. Sorry.
I wanted you to have different experiences, and I wanted you guys to be able to try all the different things. That's why I was never afraid to show you guys how to use the sewing machine or teach you how to do a running stitch or, show you guys how to crochet or work with you on drawing whatever it is or, you know. But as far as, what I wanted you guys to be or thought you might want to do in life, all I ever wanted was for you guys to be happy. So if you're happy at what you're doing, to me, life is great.
Hell yeah. I feel like, especially like in my recent years of life, sorry, in my recent years of life, I feel like that lesson has like really come through. Like, you can, a big lesson that you've always taught me, as long as you try, like, you're not going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, who's to say that your 100% is not your 100%? Like, if what you're giving is like your actual, like, hardest try, then what am I going to be upset about,
Exactly. Put in your best effort, and then I've got nothing to be upset about.
Right. That's a lesson that I've taken with me, like, like in my personal relationships with like Sam and stuff, like, they struggle with a lot of, like, am I good enough? Like, I feel like I'm not putting my full potential there. I'm like, I obviously see you trying. Like, you're not just sitting there and letting all this happen to you.
Right.
But I feel like it's a really relieving lesson to learn, like, if, if what I'm giving is my hardest try, then it's not working out, then it's just not working out. You can go to the next thing. Like, it doesn't have to be this all or nothing kind of event.
Right. And sometimes in life you try something and you feel like you're giving all you can and maybe you're not happy with the result and you realize that what I was giving really isn't all I could have given to it. So is it worth me putting in the more effort? Is that going to be enough to make me happy or put me where I want to be? And unfortunately, as adults, those are decisions we all make. And it's not just, as young adults. I mean, I'm not young anymore. I still make decisions like that.
Right.
So that was one thing. I wanted you guys to be able to be happy with who you are. And to me, if you can't love yourself and be happy with who you are, you're never going to be able to love outside of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just like, you got to find contentment within yourself to, like, go in life and other relationships and have that kind of deeper meaning in it, like, you got to really understand what makes you, why you wake up in the morning, why you're doing what you're doing. Like, me and Theo are out here on some creative journey, like, we obviously want to do it because we're out here doing it,
Exactly. And what episode number are we on? 51?
51. Almost one whole year. Next episode will be a banger. 1 year episode.
We having a party?
We got a couple of special guests on next week as well. So back-to-back guest episode. Keep your eyes out for it. I
I swear, if Theo doesn't calm down right
know
now,
he's being rambunctious as fuck.
what you got, Theo?
There he goes, breathing into the microphone again.
Dramatic pause.
I don't really have anything. I was just chilling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you been on? All right, you about to say work, and what you been up to other than working?
I've been working on some script stuff, watching movies, writing, the whole shebang.
The other day you mentioned something to me at work. You said you had started writing something, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
It's I don't want to say it's a book, but
Oh yeah,
it's
okay.
basically a book, but it's not a book.
Right,
Like it's not like Harry Potter length book or like
Not a novel.
it's not a like actual like full length book, but
So you've started writing, journaling, writing kind of thing, not necessarily.
yeah. I've been trying to work on a story for an idea of a film that I want to do, but it's a very far stretch and it's going to cost a lot to make, so.
Is it a sci-fi one we was talking about last week?
Yeah.
Okay. So you pretty much just like writing a little novella type deal.
Yeah.
Okay. That could be interesting. We were talking about like the difference between writing what you're writing and writing the script.
Yeah.
You said you feel like it might be easier to write the little short story instead of the script.
I wouldn't say it'd be easier, but it's definitely a lot easier to get across the idea of what you are looking for, because you could put more detail in the writing of a book than you can like the script of a film.
So true. The book is always better than the movie.
You're not wrong.
Always.
But you can always you can put a lot more detail into the book version.
Fair enough. I just feel like if you wanted to make it into a movie eventually, it would just make sense to me to write the script. But as you're saying, you can dive like, especially into a book, you can get like that third person, like omniscient kind of vibe where they know everything that's going on at the same time.
Yeah.
As compared to the movie, you got like this one character, they interact with the other.
Also, like on writing scripts and stuff, it's very to the point. Like nobody's like
They're not looking for like the nuance of the situation. It's just like a guideline for what they want to.
basically.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I tried to write a short story or like a novella type deal forever ago. Maybe like middle school or something like that. I got like 2 chapters into it and I was like, I don't know where the fuck this is going. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm not a writer either. I've tried writing before, just journaling kind of thing, and yeah.
I mean, I've never been great at writing, so.
It's not me.
But I feel like it's work. I feel like it's when you work out, it's kind of like that. Like you just keep working on it, and it'll get better and better.
Yeah, it definitely takes time. Like, yeah,
True.
If you go back and listen to my first album, it's trash. It's terrible. Like, shouts out Kyle, but
I mean, as his mom, I'm just gonna say it was amazing.
You ain't gotta lie. You ain't protecting nobody. But
anything my kid does is amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let you have it, but it's questionable work. But anyways, I'm not even saying the stuff that I make now is, miles and miles ahead, but it's at least a little bit above what I started writing. I'm not like releasing like Drake numbers, but
yeah,
it's a slow grind, especially in writing scripts. I feel like you gotta figure out how to how to portray the story in a way that's not gonna like be too revealing in the end. I feel like a lot of times with new movies, like I'll get like 20 minutes in and be like, XYZ is about to happen. And then it happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I ruined an entire season of American Horror Story like that. Sam was like, "You got to sit down and watch this," and like we were one episode in, and I was like, "Oh, that bitch is the devil, huh?" And she was like, "What the fuck? I can't even watch this show with you anymore."
Yeah.
There's something wrong with your mic there, bro.
There's always a
Cat
hair on
hair.
it or something.
But I feel like if I ever do a film based on a book, I would want to get it as close to the book as possible.
I think that's what everybody that rates books that are turned into movies would hope.
Right.
But in reality, there's, again, when you write a book, you can put so much more detail in it. And when you're writing a book, because you're using all of these descriptive words, you know, like the blanket, it was heavy, but it was, you know, green and orange and, you know, all of this other stuff. And then in reality, or in the filming, that kind of whatever, you know, the color or the shading or whatever it is may not turn out on film as well. So they change it to a bright orange blanket, you know.
Right.
So, and the people that have read the book get such a mental image that when they then see something on film that's different, it throws them completely.
Right.
But,
Like, you don't get like the gravity of the situation. Like, you know, going back to your example, say like the blanket is like a representation of something greater that happens in the book,
Right.
and then it's changed in the movie, or like the camera just glances over it and like doesn't really dive into the importance of it, you know, as in a book where you're like, the blanket had some mystery around it.
Right.
You know?
It was, you know, that child's comfort when they were, or that person's comfort when they were a child, or it belonged to their loved one who passed away or whatever. And so when you have to change something like that for the filming end of it,
It just
there's
loses.
really nothing you can do.
It just gets lost in translation almost.
Right. I mean, I could go on for days about how books I've read then became, you know, movies or TV series or whatever, and how just off the wall different they are.
I feel like one of the
And
best
it's
examples.
frustrating.
Right. I feel like one of the best examples of this is like the Harry Potter series.
Mm-hmm.
You've read the Harry Potter series, right?
Yep.
So what's one of your like pet peeves in the movie that were like, this is not how it happens in the book?
Aunt Petunia and Dudley in the books are both blonde. They're definitely not blonde in the movies.
Yeah, very, very much not.
Very much not blonde. I mean, to me, I've seen the movies so many different times. You know, I watched them with each of my kids and other
Right.
people's kids and whatever. I've lost a lot of recollection of the details from the books.
Yeah.
But that is one that always stuck out in my mind. It was like that family, the character or the actors chosen, not necessarily the actors, the way those characters were portrayed in the movies, to me didn't quite hit the spot
Gotcha.
of what I had in my head. Again, a lot of that is because it's a book, so you have everybody creates their own mental image of what that character looks like, or their mannerisms or whatever it is, you know, because mental image is a lot.
Right.
It's in
And
a
I've-
book, it's almost everything.
Right. I feel like, especially in books, authors tend to use, you know, like sometimes they'll give you like a really in-depth description about what somebody looks like, or sometimes they'll be like, you know, he was just a guy, blah blah blah. You know, leave it up to the reader to interpret. You know, is that a word? Interpretate? I don't think. Interpret.
That's the word.
There we go. Interpret this
Those are
scenario.
words.
But I forget what I was saying. Interpretate. That's fucking fried. Good Lord. I feel like a really good example of a book turned movie would be like The Outsiders. I feel like they did a really good job of like
Mm-hmm.
taking each character and being like, "Yep, that's pretty accurate," you know.
But The Outsiders was not a novel length book, so it
Yeah.
could have been. And not to say that the length of the book makes it a huge difference.
Oh, right. Harry Potter's is like a 7-book series. Like,
Right.
there's much more room in there to fuck something up.
Right.
Fair enough.
On with your thought, Theo. We just went on a rampage there.
Sorry.
I
Back
don't
to your
even
novel.
remember. Wow. What about it?
With writing, I'm about to say, I feel like writing a novel and writing a script are like two completely different beasts, you know?
Yeah.
As we were talking about with the novel, you got to, you know, not that you have to, but, you know, you could be more inclined to use bigger words and like be more descriptive about certain stuff.
Yeah.
So with the
definitely.
sci-fi movie, I feel like, you know, in sci-fi, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. You know, you got your spaceship, you got your energy weapon or whatever. You know, you got your good guy, you got your bad guy. But how would you turn, you know, in my mind, what seems like a pretty basic story into like an interesting type novel?
How would I change it?
Yeah, like so. Have you decided on like, oh geez, moving everything. Sorry. Have you decided on a like a genre to go forward?
Um,
Well, like we obviously know it's like sci-fi, but like what's like you know, is it like a coming of age story? Is it a
I want to say it's a chosen one, but not really.
okay? I feel like oh yeah, we talked about this the other week with like Star Wars, like how you know, you never really get like the backstory of Anakin's whole shit,
Yeah.
like how why he's the chosen one. I feel like that could be something interesting to go into, like in the novel, like why this certain person has this great power, or you know, like what circumstances led to the situation. I feel like it could be interesting.
Yeah. Um, I have some ideas for it, but I don't really have it like all planned out on what's gonna happen in the story yet.
Just got a loose skeleton for this story. How you want it to go?
Basically, yeah.
Interesting.
Got to start somewhere.
Gotta start at the very beginning.
It's the very best place to start.
It is. Big facts. All right.
When you sing, you begin with
Doe, I think. Sounds good. All right. Anyways, what y'all want to talk about first? The album or the film of the week?
Mom.
I'll let you choose. Yeah, special guest. What you want to talk about first?
special guest. I have a name.
Special guest, Mom.
Okay. Let's talk about the movie.
Okay. So, TT, tell people a little bit about the film of the week.
So it's the Autopsy of Jane Doe, and it's a pretty weird fucking movie.
To say the fucking least. So, me and Sam sat down to watch this movie, and I thought it was gonna be like a whodunit, you know. And I'm starting to watch this movie, you know. Oh shit, this chick comes in to the morgue, and I'm like, all right, so what they gonna find some weird ass way of killing this bitch? And you know, 10 minutes into the autopsy, they're like, this chick is beat the fuck up, but like there's no outward signs of any sort of trauma. So they're like, how the fuck does this work? And I was like, that's fucking weird. I've never seen that in a fucking crime movie before. And then some weird fucking voodoo shit started happening. And I was like, this is not a whodunit. He got my ass, bro. This is a scary movie. I was sitting in that bitch 25 minutes like, who's the killer? Who's the killer? Oh my God. And like a jump scare happened. And I was like, this motherfucker got my ass. It's an undercover fucking scary movie, dog. You didn't tell me nothing. So, what made you choose the Autopsy of Jane Doe?
So I wanted to go with like a. I don't even remember what I looked up. I think I was like looking at like historical fiction or something like that, and it popped up, and so I started watching it, and I was like, "This is not anywhere
I
close to a
mean, that is
historical film."
very, very vaguely historical fiction. I mean, like the vaguest of vague.
But yeah, and then I just was like, might as well be the film of the week.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
it's. Go ahead.
what did you think of the movie?
It was strange and unusual.
It was, to be honest, an hour and a half of my life I'm never getting back. Dumb.
Damn. Got his ass. I'm not even gonna lie. I was watching the movie and I was like an hour 10 in. The movie's like an hour and 40 maybe. I was an hour 10 in and I was like, I bet you the end of the movie is gonna fucking suck. And I was like, I got to the end and I was like, I don't know if it sucked or not. Like,
It just was, it went nowhere.
it was very, that's what I was about to say. It kind of felt like it was like flatlined.
Yeah.
Like, you got to the high point and then it just kind of like went back down. And
It was like
into
coming
normal.
in at the end of the roller coaster ride, just it was kind of lame.
So
But
what
I
did
hadn't
you
watched it before, so
right? I had never seen it before, but um, what about the movie interests you, or you know, what made you pick it for the film of the week?
So again, it was just like I was looking for like a historical film, and it was I saw because usually like in historical movies or anything historical, they usually like do an autopsy of like somebody that died or something,
Right.
and so I was like the autopsy of Jane Doe, and so I watched it,
boom, there it is.
and I don't know,
You just figured you'd make the rest of us suffer.
basically.
Gotcha.
All right,
That was
so
awesome.
The first L
Well
on
done,
the
sir.
podcast,
Well done.
episode 51. The first thumbs down, or no, we had Oppenheimer. Thumbs down.
He doesn't like Oppenheimer.
I think he just didn't like the experience
That's what I say.
more than the movie.
But
The experience killed the movie,
Yeah,
which is, can happen. But yeah, it only took me 4 days to watch that movie.
What?
Because the autopsy
oh,
of Jane Doe. Because I turned it on and tried to make Michael watch it with me. And he was like, nope, going to bed. I was like, all right. Well, I'm going to bed too.
does he not like scary movies?
No, he does. He does. It wasn't catching our interest.
Now, see, I don't like scary movies.
Oh,
And I was, as I said, I was about 25 minutes into it. I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. So I was like locked into the movie, I was caring about fucking characters and shit. And then this bitch fucking comes into the morgue and starts hocus pocus and motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Well, and I think that's what the thing is. I like good scary movies. And I didn't really feel it went scary enough. Like it didn't get me interested in, like when the guy starts walking down the hall and you can hear the bell.
mm-hmm.
I need to know what he was doing. Where was he going? Who was he
Right.
scaring? Why was he trying to kill somebody? What was going on? And you never got any of that.
Right. They did have a lot of moments in the movie where like they were building up to this moment and then it just kind of like never happened.
And you never got it.
Or like as you're saying, like the dude in the hall with the bell, like he walked up to the door and then nothing happened.
Right.
And like you
and
never
like when
see
they
him
saw
again.
the guy through the hole that they had in the door,
Yeah, with
and his head
stitched
pops
mouth.
over,
Yeah.
and he goes rawr, and that's it.
Right.
I was like,
he's just
rawr.
right. Like
Well, like what the fuck was that?
I feel like it had potential. Like the premise of the story has potential. Like,
I can see that.
like a haunted morgue, That's where all the fucking dead people are, If anybody was come back to life, it'd be at the morgue.
Right?
But
I think what interested me about it was that not knowing who it was. The not knowing like the back like what who Jane Doe was.
I feel like once you found out her
had we gotten more information over the time,
Right. I
I
feel
mean, we
like
found out. Sorry, I keep
no,
cutting you
you're
off.
okay. Go ahead. You're good.
I mean, we found out that okay, so she was a witch. Can we move on? Like,
Right.
can we get learn some more? Like when they peeled all her skin back, and they showed all of the writings that had been on that cloth that were on the
Yeah.
inside of her skin,
Yeah.
and then nothing. And I was
Right.
like,
There's like it seemed
what's
like
the correlation here?
yeah, it seemed like such a big part of the story. Like the inside of this bitch's skin is tattooed. Like, and you have no like correlation to anything significant in the rest of the movie about
Right.
this.
That's
It just
okay,
seemed like a
cool.
lot of loose ends throughout
Yeah.
the story that never really get tied up, you know. But I feel like one of the things that drew me to watching the movie was like the special effects and well, pretty much just like the special effects. I don't know what else to call it, but like sorry, I keep moving the fucking table. But like when they cut into her and like you know, flipped open her skin doing the autopsy and shit. The wind talking. Sorry. But when they were doing the autopsy and shit, I was like, I wonder, like if they, like how big of a prop do they have to bring in for this scene? Like actually, well, I don't know if it's practical or in post, but either way.
So what I know from like a lot of films is that like they've made full body like dummies
Mhm.
of actual actors. Like in Guardians of the Galaxy, when I don't know if it's Drax, but somebody's carrying the main actor's body. They made
Yeah.
a full body dummy of him.
Yeah.
So
So
like foam or something, so it wouldn't carry in this 240
no, it
pound
was
dude.
like rubber or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty heavy, but that's probably what they did is got a full body cast of the actor and then just put like all the organs and stuff inside and made a dummy out of it.
I wondered if they used like some kind of hide, so like a pig hide or a cow hide
Oh yeah.
for that scene when they open her up.
Yeah.
That would have been. I mean, in my brain, that would have been cool.
Right. Like out of 5 stars, I probably give it a 1 or a 2, honestly. But I don't know. It was to me, it was just interesting enough to like keep watching, but like not interesting enough to like invest your time into it. I guess.
I
don't know.
definitely
It was
I definitely feel like they could have done better.
Yeah, I feel like they
With
could have
it.
done better. Like I tried to watch some of it while I was at work,
mm-hmm.
and I found that I couldn't because I was trying to pay attention to all the details and whatnot. I couldn't watch it at work because I couldn't concentrate on it enough. But I still felt at the end of it, I was like, I don't really understand where the story. It just never went anywhere.
Yeah. Like it was to me it just I don't even know. Like it was all right, but I don't I feel like I'm just saying the same shit we've been saying for the past 5 minutes.
Well,
Like,
then moving on.
onwards and upwards. The album of the week.
Pause. All right, Mom, I have a question for you.
All right, Theo, I
With
have an
you
answer for you.
being with you being a I don't know if you watch this weekly.
The podcast?
Yeah.
Of course I watch it weekly.
Do you really?
Sometimes I fast forward through a little bit, but I do at least watch it.
So,
Fake fan.
do you ever
Real fan.
Do you ever watch the films or listen to the albums?
I have not on purpose, no. Should I go back and start watching them all?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I
Starting
just
at
wanted
episode
to
1.
know because I
mean, I couldn't tell you what the last 50 movies you picked out were,
I don't know
and
if
if I've watched any of them.
Fake fan.
I don't know if like
Didn't watch every movie and listen to
Come on.
every album.
oh
Sir.
sorry. I don't know if people who watch the podcast like actually watch the film or listen to the albums.
You know, that's
Some
a good
people do.
question.
But
It's a question for the fans out there.
I don't know.
Leave it in the comments below.
Leave it in the comments.
Do you
below.
watch the album? Watch the album. Do you watch
Yes,
the
please
film or
watch the
listen to the
album.
album?
Listen to the film. Watch the album.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyways, onwards and upwards.
Can we move on now?
The album of the week is Unpredictable by Jamie Foxx. All right, so the one and only reason I chose this album is because I have a vivid memory in the car, and I found this album, in the Rolodex of CDs that we had once upon a time, and I was like, "Mom, can we listen to this?" And you were like, "No, we cannot."
Nope.
And I was like,
Sure cannot.
"Why not? It's in the book. Why can't I listen to it?" And you're like, "No, we're not listening to it." And for some reason, I remember that Jamie Foxx made music the other week, and I was like, I could finally listen to this album. So I put it on.
You waited until now to listen to that album?
Sorry, I keep fucking moving the table.
She also never allowed us to listen to the 50 Cent.
I got a couple sneak peeks
CD.
at it. I got a couple sneak peeks at it as a kid. But
All right, so
we ain't
as
gotta
a
tell
grown
Mom.
adult, do you know why?
Yeah,
now?
so I put the album on, and I was, first track, I was like, okay, this beat's pretty fire. And then Jamie Foxx comes in talking about, I'm gonna eat your booty. And I don't even remember what the words were, but he just started talking some foul shit right off the top. And I was like, that checks out. Because I'd have been at school, girl, I'm gonna lick your booty. Because, or I'd have been, Mom, why would somebody lick somebody's booty? That's gross. Just 6-year-old me having this conversation about eating ass. But yeah, I totally understand and respect why you didn't let me listen to the album.
All right.
But, now that I'm a grown adult and go back in to listen to the album, it's a pretty solid album.
I like it.
Pretty solid album.
Yep.
2006, Jamie Foxx was going crazy.
He's like that.
Jamie Foxx is one of those people, I feel like as we were talking about before, he's a great example of a jack of all trades but master of none,
Mm-hmm.
He's a musician, he's an actor, he does impressions, he does comedy. He does it all, really. I feel like he's a really good example for people to look up to, like, in the entertainment industry. But back to the album. T, what was your opinion on the album?
It was very slow, my opinion.
You ain't about that early 2000s R&B, huh?
No.
This motherfucker never put on a pair of roller skates in his life.
I mean, I have, and I do like some 2000s R&B, but this just felt very slow and kind of like I wanted to fall asleep a little bit, but
Fair enough.
A lot of the songs on there are like, back in my day, we would call it baby making music, where it was, like your slow R&B jam that you would listen to at home with your guy
Yeah.
or your girl, and
Oh, Lord. But yeah, I'd give you that. All the songs on the album are pretty, rather slow, I would say like classic 2000s R&B type vibes, That's my shit. I don't know why, but I've always lived like Mary J. Blige or
I love Mary J.
Who's somebody else from the early 2000s? Oh Lord, drawing a blank.
Words are hard.
Yeah. Title of one of my albums. Check it out. Linktree.com/JAK Productions.
Oh wow.
Got that in there. Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, early 2000s. Usher, bruh.
Oh, there you go.
Throwing
Usher.
some Usher. Shit was fire. Get your roller skates. Get your 4 or 5 friends. You and that
How
bitch.
often did you go roller skating as a kid?
I went to the roller rink for the
Like 4 times tops?
whatchamacallit.
Bro.
I used to get down. Wheels of Wonder. We used to go all the time.
How about you, Bug?
I've been roller skating.
You ever chuck on the
Once
4
or
bys?
The what?
4x4s?
Yes.
He said the what?
I can't line skate. You think I can line skate?
All right.
I wouldn't put it past you.
No.
You ever been roller skating recently?
No.
Have either of you gone like to a dance club, like to dance?
No.
No.
They don't really have dance clubs anymore.
Why not?
Because people can't dance.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of whites doing one of these for about an hour and a half on some illicit substances.
Sounds like a good time to me. Let's go.
I mean, it is a good time, but the old body ain't what it used to be. I'll be in there 9 o'clock. I want to go home.
I felt like that last night, and all I did was play euchre. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, it's time to go home. I
He
can't
said,
do this
take my
no
2
more.
points. I don't even fucking care. Y'all can win. You ever check out the nightlife in Indy, TT?
No,
Why
I
not?
didn't figure as much.
because I'm not a people person.
Oh, that's true.
Big facts. Man's got a hit or two of the tism.
I don't know why you got to talk like that's a bad thing or something.
We're just letting people know.
Gotcha.
I got a couple of hits too. I went down to the corner store, bought me a couple.
I make fun of people or get annoyed by them, so I don't go.
That's half the fun of going. Is just
That is half the fun of
sitting
going.
back in the corner and be like, look at this stupid bitch. She over there.
People watching is amazing.
Brittany, do you have a cigarette? Oh, that's so much fun to just be. I bet they're
Sit
gonna
back
have
and
a.
people watch, man.
It's a fun time. Me and Sam do it all the time. You have to come out with
You
us.
should do it. It's part of being a 21-year-old.
We'll get you out one of these nights. Find you a concert at like the old National Center or something.
It don't have to be something like that.
He's been
No.
trying to get me to go to a concert for like the past 3 years now.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually.
You should go eventually.
No.
Okay.
Theo wants me to like Oppenheimer as much as I want him to go out. That's a good comparison right there. You know. Anyways, onwards and upwards. So,
I'd rather not deal with people on illicit substances
I don't blame you in the slightest, honestly.
and have them bump into me and act like they're cool with me. Like, no, get the fuck away from me. I'd rather stay home and just
All right.
cry myself to sleep at night, you know?
Oh, good Lord.
I'm fucking dead.
That
That's
went
fucking
downhill real fast.
All right, so I found this online a little while ago, and you know, we're just gonna rapid fire. We ain't gotta get too emotional if you don't want to, but
It's just all the All Alone song that I play in my room.
All by myself.
Yeah,
type
that,
beat.
yeah.
All right, so these were a few questions to ask your mom, so I wanted to ask you these.
Okay.
All right, so what was life like for you growing up?
She's already told us this story like multiple times.
I mean, overall, always busy. Again, coming from a large family, there's always something going on.
Very true.
Is there something specific like you're asking about?
No, just like what was life like? Did
Me.
you have a bike? Did you have a pool? Did
I
you?
had a bike. Did I ever tell you about flipping over the handlebars?
I don't think so. What happened?
That was great fun. Riding the bike on the street,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently I didn't see it. Is it large enough rock that I hit it straight on with my wheel, and I went over the handlebars
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
and tired my forehead all the way down the front of the tire.
That's hilarious.
I did. I had this big old honking thing right here in the middle of my forehead. That was great. But yeah, I mean, I always had somebody to go play with. I always had, whether it was, Aunt Katie or
Not me.
You lived out on the east side as a kid,
grew up
right?
on the east side.
What was the
Mhm.
east side like back in the 70s and 80s?
Well, I was
Compared to
born in the
today.
mid-70s.
Well, right, in the 80s and 90s, I suppose.
Compared to today,
Yeah.
Rich white people.
it was a lot more white people.
Very true.
Very true. I don't know about rich. We were, middle class, Catholic. A lot more. Grew up in the Catholic family or in the Catholic church. Went to
How-
Catholic schools. So
I don't think you understand how probably wealthy your mom and dad were. Having 9 kids, that's a lot of people to take care of.
True, which means they weren't wealthy because they
Well,
were
like,
spending
if-
all their money raising children
If they
and
didn't
sending 9
have,
kids to Catholic schools.
if they didn't have kids, Mom, they would have probably had a lot of money.
Well, and if they didn't have kids, your beautiful face wouldn't be here.
And you wouldn't be listening to the Two Tone Podcast, youtube.com/@twotone. But all right,
But
always
yeah,
an
I
upwards.
mean, I had a good childhood. I don't have any real complaints. You know, nothing that sticks out that was bad or horrible or
Nothing super traumatizing, huh?
nothing super traumatizing I can't remember.
Fair enough.
I mean, I had trauma, don't get me wrong.
Right,
We all
you know,
do. but-
Everybody does. I feel like in some capacity at least.
Right.
So, question number 2. What do you remember from your What do you remember from your first few days of motherhood? So, if you don't know, neither one of us are the first child. We have an older brother.
I
So,
do.
this isn't even about us, but I want to know, what was your first few days of motherhood like?
Um,
The shit's for the birds.
no,
He said, damn, this baby got a big ass head.
he did. He did have a big ass head. I'm going to say it probably wasn't that of a typical first-time parent because, again, coming from a large family, there was always babies around.
Right.
On top of, I don't know if you know this about your mother, she's slightly obsessed with babies.
I wouldn't
She
say
re-
slightly.
Yeah,
she
we
really enjoys babies.
yeah.
I just do. So I cannot say that I had that typical first time mom thing that everybody else, like fear that, oh my God, he's not going to sleep, or, oh my God, he's crying. What do I do? Because I just had so much experience with that already.
Right, you were already a seasoned veteran by the first time you had a
Right.
kid.
I mean,
You knew how to change the diaper and
I did all of that.
give him a Tylenol. And
Honestly, things that stick out in my head are,
Dip your finger in a whiskey glass, but let him
right?
lick it.
A little shot of whiskey in his bottle. He's good.
He'll be all right.
Was when I was still in the hospital. And for, all of your viewers that don't know, your brother was 22 inches long and 11 solid pounds of baby.
Yeah, he was a big ass boy.
He was gigantic.
Wasn't I the biggest?
No, you
No.
were the second biggest.
Skinny legend. Let's go.
And I would, because, when you're in the maternity, okay, you don't know, but when you're in the maternity ward, you can hear all these other mothers screaming and yelling because they're giving birth and, blah, blah, blah. But there were other moms and nurses that were not my nurse, but had heard about how large your brother was. And they all had to come in. And it was like a parade of people needed to come in and see this giant baby. And I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
he's just my baby. Here he is,
I mean, you never really had to deal with like natural birth.
True. I did not get to enjoy that or experience that.
Because you had C-sections with all of us.
Well, that would, again, because your brother was 11 pounds of baby. I don't know if you're aware what 11 pounds feels like or looks like,
Well,
but that's a lot of baby.
but like with Jaylen, do you feel like the doctor would have allowed you to do natural birth?
No, because of the type of C-section I had had with Arthur, I wasn't able to have a natural birth after that.
Yeah.
Also, because your brother was so large, I was not going to the full 40 weeks. When I distinctly remember both times with you and with Jaylen going in and being like, okay, when's the due date? Okay, great. And what day am I allowed to have this child? What's the earliest you'll let me go? Because I'm not having another 11-pound child. It's not happening.
He said the first day I can get in there, I'll be there.
Right? Well, when they sent me home from the hospital with Arthur, I had C-section, and that's a major surgery. And they said, you can't lift more than 10 pounds.
He said, well, this is going to be a problem.
I'm not sure you're aware, but the baby that you took out of me during said surgery is more than 10 pounds.
That's fucking hilarious.
So that makes that job slightly difficult.
Next question.
All right, on to the next question. What's been your favorite memory of us? You can go one by one or as a group. Whatever you please.
Sorry, I was stretching.
Ooh, big stretch.
Mom, do you remember back before color?
Okay, we don't need to talk about that one.
Flame his ass. Flame his ass.
So
explain the story a little
that
bit.
was a Theo question. Okay, so I'm going to explain that my son Theo has always been super observant, and when he would see something that he didn't understand, just depending on his age, he would just say, "Hey, Mom, what is that?" Like Waffle House, when he had started learning the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
I remember driving down Main Street, and he's like, "Hey, Mom, what does W, A, F?" And of course, we're driving past it, so he's like, "No, stop! You have to stop." And I'm like, "I can't just stop in the middle of the street." But he wanted to know what those letters spelled, what they said.
Right.
So it's just always been full of questions.
Right.
And one of my all-time favorites is, "Mom, do you remember back before color?" And it took me a while to figure out what he was trying to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Was the black and white pictures, he literally thought that before, like, those were taken during a time when life didn't have color. Go ahead, laugh. It's okay.
It's all right. It's okay.
Mom, do you remember back before color? And then I was offended because how old do you think I am, sir?
Not quite that old.
I'm not quite that old.
That's fucking hilarious.
Not quite that old. One of my favorite, unfortunately, one of my favorite memories of Jaylen is his 4th grade year, where he started out in a cast on his arm because he had broken his arm again, and then went to a cast from his foot to his hip. Why? Because he wouldn't wear the knee brace the doctor told him to wear.
Good times.
And after being released, the day after we had gone to we went to the doctor, took the cast off. He said, okay, he should be good to go. He wants to go to the skate park. So, okay. He hadn't been able to skate for quite some time because he had had an arm cast, then a leg cast.
It was a rough year for me.
And we weren't there 10 minutes.
And he broke his shit.
And he broke his arm. And watching him run from the ramp to where I was, again, I shouldn't laugh, but it was hysterical. Because his arm was doing all kinds of craziness. You would have thought that it hurt bad enough he was holding it. But no, he broke the hell out of his arm again, and it's just a flailing back and forth like it wasn't even attached.
So at the moment, the skate park had a fence around it, and I was like at the farmost corner from where the gate was.
The open
and so I had to run through the skate park, around the fence, back to like essentially where I was on the other side of the fence where my mom was parked, and just, we gotta go, we gotta go. It was quite the fucking crazy ass time.
Mm-hmm. Although the second time he broke his arm, when you were 2,
Mhm.
And you were chasing Arthur around Grandma's house, and Grandma was still working at the hospital at the time.
Mhm.
And as soon as you did it, and I hear you screaming, I just picked up the phone and I was like, hey, Grandma, don't leave work. I'm going to need you to meet me at the ER. And she was like, why? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Jaylen broke his arm again. And then trying to get him in the car seat, because it was one of those old ones where
You gotta like stuff their arms into the thing.
No, not the straps. It had this bar that went up and over you, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't get you to bend your arm far enough so that I could get that down.
Right.
But you were only 2, so it was like. But yeah,
And this is
Not
why
that
you
they're-
don't drink chocolate milk, kids. Gotta drink that white milk.
I don't think
What?
chocolate milk had anything to do with
For
it.
the longest time, I thought it did,
No,
but
no. Jaylen didn't like milk, and chocolate was the only way I could get him to drink it. But that was even after he broke his arm, the first time when he was little.
for the
He just-
longest time when I was younger, I was like, and this is why we don't drink chocolate milk, Theo. Because Jaylen out here breaking 17 bones within his 25 years of living.
Quite a few broken bones. I've lost count, but
Yep.
that's hilarious that your favorite memory of me is breaking my shit.
Oh,
It
Arthur.
was just you running through the park. That's
Forgot
what was
about
funny.
Arthur.
I didn't forgot about Arthur.
No,
I ain't got there yet.
telling Jaylen. Because he's not
He's just trying to move on. He's trying to leave your brother in the dust. That was rude.
rude.
In 2 ways.
Rude. You better
What's your favorite
apologize.
memory of Arthur?
When he was little, he was the master. I mean, not that he's not the master anymore because he's still, but his facial expressions when he was just little bitty were so funny. Like right. Imagine that on a, 1-year-old.
Don't hurt yourself now.
He just had the funniest facial expressions when he was little.
Hell yeah. Onward and upward. Next question.
Okay.
What do you want / wish most for your kids?
Happiness. We already talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. All right, so if you could redo one thing in your life, what would it be?
I don't know. Can't think of anything. I'm one of those people that, things happened that way for a reason, learn from it kind of thing.
Yeah, I can understand
So,
that.
I mean, could I say, oh my gosh, I wish that had never happened? Sure. But I also think
If that never happened, then
what-
everything following it never
Right.
would have happened.
exactly, and what I learned from that situation.
Right. Take things as a life lesson, not as a regret, really.
Right.
I like that look on it. All right, so 2 more questions. What's one thing you want me to always remember after you're gone?
Us. Not him.
What's
Just
one
him.
thing you want
Not him
us to remember
Us.
as a collective, your children?
What? I mean, I do have one specific for Theo, but that's more Theo wants than I want.
Okay.
What?
So we'll keep that for later.
Okay.
Read the question again.
What's one thing you want us to remember after you're gone?
That I love you.
I love you too. All right.
That's it.
Stay happy.
I like that. All right, last question. What do you want to tell your grand/great grandkids? If me and TT ever get that far.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's happening.
Didn't you say that you don't want kids?
I don't know, man. Life's fucking weird. Maybe
is
in a few
weird.
years. Probably not though.
So basically me. My kids.
What's something I would want them to know? Like,
Yeah.
just in general or about me?
Both.
Yeah, let's do both. Why not?
Okay. Same thing I would leave for my kids. I love you, and I want you to be happy.
What's something you want them to know about you?
How amazing I am. I'm just wonderful like that.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to say thank you one more time for my mom for coming out to do the podcast. I know it's been a battle getting you on the podcast, but
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Well,
what?
it's not right.
I got a question for you.
Oh, Theo,
Hit him
that's
with
a
a question.
Go for it.
So, with I don't know if Jaylen or Arthur feels this way, but with liking history,
Mhm.
where would you say you get that from?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there are so many things that I could say I got from my dad. But I don't know that he was. I can't say that he was or wasn't a history enthusiast, or I can't say I got it from grandma, but I don't know. It's just something I've always, when I was younger, obviously not super interested in, but as an adult, I've always been interested in learning about it. So,
Do you like history, Jaylen?
I mean, I like learning. I'm definitely more of like a I'd like to go to the certain spot and learn about it more than, just like watching a movie or reading about it, but I do like a good documentary every now and again. Especially if it's on something like weird and obscure. That's the kind of shit that I like.
yeah.
Like I don't really care about like why the Eiffel Tower is there, like there's this one fucking thing in the middle of New Mexico
Well,
and we're
like
like,
that thing we passed today,
which thing?
that historical site thing we
The TC
Oh
drove-
yeah,
Steel.
the
yeah.
TB Steel.
It was
yeah.
like,
TC
I don't even
Steel.
know who this
TC.
is.
Sorry.
And this is in the middle of nowhere. What is
Right, like who is this
educate me.
guy?
What is this?
Yeah. It is pretty interesting to learn about new shit, I
And
always
then-
feel like the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing.
Absolutely.
And then I'm over here watching everything about history, which is fucking weird to think about.
Yeah,
I'm
you'd be
I'm really
watching-
stuck on the historical fiction type stuff though. Like I will watch something knowing that this event didn't really happen, but it is based around,
Right.
World War II or something. And then that gets me in the loophole of, okay, what really did happen, what obscure things did happen during World War II. And then I find one thing and then it's like this rabbit hole I'm stuck in, I'm like,
yeah.
Also, like, what made you want to start doing, like, your family's lineage research and stuff on Ancestry?
an interest in history,
I'm
to be
gonna say-
honest. I mean, it's more about finding out who that person was and not necessarily wanting to go, oh, I might have gotten this from that person or from that side of the family or something. But, like, our family, both grandma's side and grandpa's side, had ancestors that came to America from Germany.
Mhm.
So a lot of the family always thought we're Germanic on both sides of the family. Okay. Well, I found out that my dad's side of the family's, my dad's mom's side of the family, they were only in Germany for like 2 generations.
Mm.
And before that, they were from Northern Europe and England. I would have never
Interesting.
thought that.
Right.
I kind of wish, like, personally, I wish that, like, we had a documentary about our family lineage from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because
And
I
a lot
feel
of
like
my
it'd be
research
very
also
interesting.
has been to try to find information to pass on to you guys about your dad's side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, growing up the way you did, that there's not that connection, there's not that history. And I can only go by the information I remember being told But I feel like I've at least be able to give you guys somewhere to look and go, okay, this was my family. This was my history. Whether good, bad, or ugly,
Right.
it's what it is. So that's another reason why I got into the genealogy stuff.
Do you ever plan on going back and doing more on it?
Yeah, it can get expensive.
Right.
It's not a cheap adventure.
Very true.
So
Y'all got anything else for the people? Any closing comments?
No.
Lit. I want to say thank you one more time for watching the Two Tone Podcast. Again, super, super extra thank you to my mom for coming on the podcast. Linktree.com/JAK Productions. That'll take you to all my hoo-ha. Linktree.com/GlassHouseFilms8. No. Linktree.com/GlassHouseFilms. It'll be in the description below. Either way, want to say thank you. Appreciate you. Be safe. Have a fantastic life. This has been the Two Tone Podcast. Damn, forgot to fucking make it to where I can hear the song. I'm probably off. You look scared. You alright there?
are we done?
We can be.
Theo done unplugged shit.
Only every time.
He says, "Bitch, I'm done."